everybody, and welcome to episode 130 of Discourse and Magic. What up? This is once again with Tyler and I talking about
1013s.
Magic. What's up? What's cooking in the world? 1013. What are you saying? 130 is 10 times. Yeah, that's great.
It's bad luck.
We got through 13 episodes 10 times.
That's crazy.
That's great. that's awesome of us,
like
actually.
Yeah.
So speaking of awesome things that we've accomplished, how was your last month? What's Gucci?
It was good. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in my personal life.
By the way,
now.
we're sipping coffees. We're sitting on a lovely Toronto morning at 1:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my pajamas.
It's raining outside, but
raining.
in a way, and that makes it sort of like, I want to stay inside today. Not, man, I can't go out. It's just
So this is one of those
sit
sit by the fire episodes. You should make some hot cocoa and
listen to it while you're skydiving. It doesn't.
Yeah,
really
I don't
matter.
care. Or drive your car.
Just
Anyways,
listen.
continue. Go ahead.
So there's been a lot of things going on in my personal life that makes it sound like I'm about to share a bunch of really deep shit. No, but I am doing a lot of things with my work right now, where I'm going to be taking on a lot more video projects, and they're dedicating a lot more time to that. So that's pretty exciting. I've been working with I don't know how to describe him. I guess he's a customer of the store, but I've been doing a lot of work with him also in the video world and sort of discussing what his needs are. But more than that, I've been trying to do a lot more media production in general, and I'm thinking about gearing it towards more magic now. So I want to be doing more. It's something I decided a couple weeks ago. I'm thinking if you're in Toronto and you want some cheap promo stuff.
Yes.
You just want to do a photo shoot, a video, whatever you want. Hit me up. So, yeah.
Beautiful, great, amazing idea. Do it. I'm so excited. I've been pushing this at you for so long, and I'm very excited.
Yeah. One of the things I think is a good life lesson that I learned is
always listen to Jonah.
Yeah, Jonah's right.
He's right.
Yeah. Sorry. One of the life lessons I learned is the importance of motivation and not finding ways to motivate yourself for yourself always, because that doesn't work for everybody. It's something that I think works for a lot of people, and it's really great for those people, but I need something to carry me through the work, because just bettering my own knowledge doesn't feel productive enough, as unfortunate as that is. So involving other people in the process really makes me feel like the learning is benefiting me and them, and doing things for cheap and or free makes the, risk reward factor super low. So I'm not feeling like my shortcomings in the final product are a huge deal.
Totally. You're voicing so much that's right there. So first of all, if you don't have faith in your skills, then be free, because all you have to do is be better than not existing, and then we're worth it, which I think anybody can do. And that's good advice for any field. That's number one. And number two, totally, yes, 1,000,000%, 100%, that the context in which you do work under changes how motivated you are to do it. It has been super interesting for me to work side by side Discourse and Toronto Magic Company. Because with Discourse and Magic, I'm sort of taking the lead. And as a leader, I am more nervous to make big decisions. With Toronto Magic Company, while I make big decisions, I treat it like I'm reporting to Ben. Whether or not that's true, I mean, it's not really, right? Like, it's not really true. But what it actually allows me to do is take bigger risks, because it's like,
if it fucks up, it's Ben's fault.
No. No,
I'm not trying to say
bigger risks because I'm trying to take a risk so that I can show him the charts and say, look, we should keep doing this and not this, or this and not this, right? So like, I want to find the best thing soonest and do it. But when it's me in charge, I'm very nervous to make any decisions, because I'm like, wow,
I don't know.
Right.
So,
But anyways, things where I've done the exact same work, it's easier to do it when you're like, when I ask my boss about this, how is he going to think? And I like my boss, and not I mean, listen, I don't know. I've never had a boss, so I'm sure this is kind of what it's like. But do you know what I mean, right? So it's so depending on the people that you work with and the way that the information comes about, you feel differently about it, which obviously plays a big role. That's dope, and I'm excited for you to do more art stuff, photos and videos and all that.
Adobe's fun.
Toronto.
It's fun.
Yes.
And there's a lot of parallels, I think, to Magic that go very. I mean, they're not looked over for people who listen to the podcast because we talk about them a lot, but we talk a lot about things in Magic that are overlooked far too often.
Yeah.
And framing is huge. Learning what the rules are in that world in terms of like, there's a reality that we know exists in the real world, and when we're on stage, we're trying to bend that. In video, the reality is a lot different, and people understand that you're going to bend it. So making that fun and interesting and not just sort of like something that's just there is a challenge. And the most important thing I think that I've learned is
to have fun.
Yeah, to have fun. Is motivation. Anything that happens on screen has to be motivated. Likewise, anything that's in your show has to be motivated.
Same thing, right?
You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason if you're just like, and now the card's in ice. It's like, why was the card in ice? Like, yeah, it's impossible, but like, why? You're not telling a story, right? If you're gonna change camera angles, have the subject of the film look at the direction you're gonna change.
I don't know whose quote this is. I think it's Joshua J, but it might not be. But an artist is defined by the number of times they ask and answer the question, why?
Yep.
Right? Or like, why am I doing this? Like, why? The number of decisions they make, right? Like, that's what defines the artist. And I like that. It helps, like anything, to illuminate it based on the question why. I love that. Very excited for you and your photos and videos too.
Yeah. Video, of course. Video is what I'm actually leaning more towards. It's just photos are much more accessible, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like the amount of time when someone's like, "Hey, can you make this photo look good?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure.
No problem.
Give me 20 minutes."
Yeah.
Versus but like, "Hey, I have a video idea." I'm like, "Okay, give me 3 days of working 6 hours a day, and I will make it perfect." And yeah, there's just a tremendous amount that I am taking from both camps and putting into what I'm doing now, and it's a new, fun, exciting challenge, and I'm looking forward to doing more.
As the world stands right now, those who can create amazing photo and video content are winning.
Yeah.
So
just for the people, I know budgets are tight, especially for a lot of the performing artists, but if you want to make your own content and learn your own stuff, buy Adobe. It's $52.99 US a month. It's
so
lot
much money.
of money. Oh my God, is it worth it? Oh my God, is it worth it? Like, the amount.
Really? That's so much money.
Okay, you can do a cheaper version and only get one software. Like, if you're only doing photos.
No, but let me give you a crazy thing. I can hire somebody for $50 a month to edit 10 photos or 5 photos.
Right. That's amazing. Great. But you get 10 photos or 5 photos.
I know, but
I can do 10 photos myself like that, and it's all seamless across all my devices. So when I edit a photo on my computer, I can upload it on Instagram immediately. There's apps in the entire Creative Cloud where you can design anything and everything. Web pages, 3D models, vector graphics, like posts. Spark is an unfathomably good app for how simple it is. Like, you set up your brand in the app with your logo, your type kit, and it generates all the fonts and all the things for you. Wow. And then it has a different layout of like, this is a example of what you'd use for a sale. Upload your photo here, put in your text here. And then from in there, you hit layout, and it's like, are you going to post this on Instagram stories, Snapchat stories, Facebook, YouTube? Whoa. And then you just design it. And it's all on like within a phone app. And you can make really creative, animated, moving.
Oh, you do that on your phone?
Specific to your brand in like 10 minutes.
On your phone?
On my phone. I can take a picture of a font, and it'll pick out the letters for me, and then pull up type kits that are available similar to it. If I want to use a texture or a pattern, let's say, I can take a picture of that pattern, and it'll turn it into a file I can use. If I want to do a 3D model and I want it to look like wood, I can take a picture of wood or a picture of my wallet and it'll be wood or leather. And it's all on my phone. And that's like the basic bare bones apps that they've put out, let alone when you have the Creative Cloud on your PC where you have an actual, GPU and some serious processing power. You can do amazing things super fast. It's very daunting and a lot to take in, but it is, I think, worth it, especially for people in the performing arts industry who want to be in charge of their own stuff. If you just want to do magic and you want to pay people, that's great. You know what I mean? Like it's a hard whole other mindset to get into, especially if you're
I don't
learning.
have the time to learn that too. I'm learning other things right now.
Yeah.
And right now, and I'll talk about it when I'm talking about what I'm doing, but I'm more focused on the Facebook ads.
Yeah, selling. You're running a business. You're setting the pieces in motion. You're not the pieces doing the moving. You know what I mean? And like, I need someone to set me in motion. That's what I need. So like, everyone has a role. You know what I'm saying? Also, I just want to shout out Peter McKinnon. He's a super. Yeah,
of course.
He puts out very easy to do videos. They're very consumable. They're a little too vloggy for me, but I mean, he's a YouTuber. That's the market and the style that he's supposed to go for. But super consumable, and he does stuff that are very poignant. Like there's a lot of videos describing all these random features, and they're great. But his stuff is like, you see those things that everyone's doing that you wish you could do?
Here's how to do it.
Here's how to do them.
Yeah.
And he's also into the magic world, and he's talks about magic a lot to the media people and does magic on his media channel. So
yeah, it's dope.
It's a cool shit.
Stuff.
Just quick little shout out. But yeah, Jonah, what about you? What have you been up to in the past month?
Woof, what a month. So LA, I came back from, I told you guys about. Here I started Dave & Buster's back up again, which was super fun. We had our Art of Magic with, I don't know if we recorded after or before. I think we did our Art of Magic with Mark Correa, and we did our Art of Magic with Keith Brown, which were both very fun and both sold out, which is exciting. What else? I did an event for TIFF in Toronto for a specific movie that came out, and made friends with an actor who's in a bunch of cool things. I'm not going to mention his name because he's interested in magic.
Famous?
No, I mean, you may or may not know who he is, but
Chris Pratt.
No. But he's interested in magic, so I don't want to,
You met Neil Patrick Harris?
No.
Oh.
So that was really cool. The Toronto Star.
Stephen Colbert?
The Toronto Star. No, I didn't mean Stephen Colbert.
I'm just trying to think.
No, you won't. You will not guess him. The Toronto Star put the Art of Magic in it. Another Toronto magazine featured us, Snapped, and yeah. So things are hearing about the Toronto Magic Company, which is going very well. And more than anything, what I've spent the last month doing, really, since the last we spoke, is Facebook and Google ads for selling tickets to shows.
I'm so curious. What have you learned?
It's hard, man. Number one, it's very hard to sell tickets to shows. Like, it's very hard. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, there's just so much learning. Like right now I'm selling tickets, but not at an amount that it's.
How does, maybe this isn't a conversation for the podcast, but how does getting paid out by ticket sales companies work, like Eventbrite and stuff
just
like that?
Just sends shit to your account.
Like, is it once the show happens?
Yeah.
Like after you just get paid?
And it just sends it to your account, yeah. So, okay. But basically the idea is like, because you're a math guy, so I can explain this. Let's say I'm asking for Facebook to charge me every time someone clicks on it. So the cost per click changes based on how shitty of an ad it is. If it's a very good ad and people are engaging with it, it's very cheap every time someone clicks on it. If it's a very shitty ad, then Facebook makes it very expensive for you to show it to people because obviously people don't want to see it, right?
Right.
So you get a cost per click. Let's say it's $1 or $2 a click. And the question is
close to what it actually is?
Yeah.
That's freaking a lot of money.
Yeah. And then the question is, how many clicks onto the page does it take to get somebody to buy? So the question is, if it takes 50 clicks to go to the page to get somebody to buy and it costs you $1 a click,
you have to sell tickets for $100
right,
for it to be worth it.
Or then you need to make sure that they're buying 10 tickets. So now you're like, okay, it's probably in my best interest to target Facebook ads, to target like families, because that way when the mother buys a ticket, she's not buying two.
Right. Oh.
So now you're understanding the game that I have to play, because I can't change the ticket price for what we're offering.
Oh, yeah, but you can change demographic.
I can change demographic, I can change the ad, I can change all this different stuff.
Can you change demographic, or do you just have to make the ad more geared towards parents?
I can pick any demographic.
Oh, that's messed up.
I can do anything, right? Like I picked people who got engaged within the last 3 months.
Okay.
Or I picked people who have an interest in dating. And the ad says the perfect date night, right?
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean? And that way I sell pairs of tickets, right? So, but what's so difficult is exactly what we're saying. If it costs $1 a click, which is a pretty good amount for it to cost, and it takes 20 people to go to the page to buy one ticket, which means that it's like a pretty good conversion rate, right? 1 in 20, right? So 5%. Yeah. You have a 5% conversion on that page. It still means that it costs you half of every ticket price, right?
Right.
So like it's a lot of numbers to make sure that it works out in the end. And right now, like it's not that they're not working out, like they're making sales, but it's not making enough dollars per ticket, which means there's a lot of tweaking that has to go on to get it.
Right.
So that's what I've been working on. But it's been fun and it's cool. And like before, I'm spending Toronto Magic Company dollars, which is great because it's not my money. And I don't like, obviously I'm not spending frivolously, but it's nice because I get to have a company budget for marketing, and then I get to spend the budget and test it out and then be like, that was not a good use of our budget. Yeah. And what a way better way to run life, than it is to like,
having a budget and like a set, this is what has to happen.
Because then you don't feel bad when it like doesn't work the way that it should, because you're like, otherwise you're like sweating about it. And now you're like, well, this is the budget. This was the marketing attempt. Next month we're trying a different marketing attempt. It doesn't work great.
And also, it doesn't leave you in the position of like, if you didn't have a budget and it was your money, you'd be like, well, how much should I gamble?
Bingo.
Right?
Bingo.
You're like, well, if I just put in an extra 300 and it works out threefold, I should just put in the 300.
And that's part of what I was saying before about the like working with certain people, as the leader or as the like team member. Like, sometimes it's easier as the team member because you're like, well, he gave me a budget, so I'm spending the budget as best way as I know how, and I'm going to use all my problems, all my abilities there. But if you have to think about like, I'm spending a budget, but how much of a budget? And each dollar spend is like, it's like like a dollar that. So obviously, Toronto Magic Company dollars are my dollars. It's not. I'm not spending monopoly money on it. But
you're not getting a salary and then having a budget on top of that. Like
no, right?
The whole company's money is your money.
But do you understand what I mean?
No, but just having the structure,
the budget. It makes such a difference to have like a budget in place for that kind of thing. So,
and that's the other thing. Like with my work, they wanted me to be doing video editing while doing the retail stuff in my downtime, which is fine if I don't have deadlines. And it's actually not fine in general because like video editing is like a workflow kind of headspace you have to get in. It's super organized, super methodical, step by step by step by step by step. One of the hardest parts of it is actually knowing when to fucking stop. So it's hard for me to just stop and then start doing the store stuff and then jump back on the video. So they have dedicated 15 hours a week to doing just video. And what's nice about that is I only have to do video 15 hours a week. Like before it was like, all the hours I'm just doing anytime that I can. When I go home, I'm doing it. When I'm on the train to and from, I'm doing
15
it.
Hours a week.
And now it's like,
it's just a lot.
It's just 15 hours a week. And I'm just going to stop. If it's not done, I just stop at 15 hours and I wait for next week. And it's totally taking so much off my mind.
Totally.
Just like, setting periods that are done, even though the entire product is not finished, is huge. Like my apartment was messy for a long time because me and my partner Brittany just could not clean the whole thing. And we're like, we just got to do one big clean and then stay on top of it. And we would do one big clean and then we wouldn't stay on top of it, and do one big clean and wouldn't stay on top of it. And I said to her, like, we should start just cleaning every day.
Sunday.
Like every single day, just like do one thing. And then it won't be hard. And she's like, well, that's why I want to do the big clean so that we have a clean start. And I was like, yeah, but we're never going to do that.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter if you just did the floor and the whole entire dishes are dirty and everything's dusty other than the floor is done.
Right.
You feel accomplished enough because every day that you put it off, it becomes a harder and harder task. I actually had this idea, talking to our friend Phil Bowser about Adobe stuff, but also listening to an episode of, well, not just a snippet of a Joe Rogan podcast. And this guy was talking about how if you were to do 40 jumping jacks, it would just make you have energy and like your heart would be up and you'd be ready to go. And it's good. You did your warm up. Now you can do your workout. But he's like, but what if you just stopped there? And as soon as that energy went away, you just did more jumping jacks or another type of exercise. And instead of pushing to the point where you need a recovery period, literally just doing enough to where it gives you energy, your progress will be super slow, but you'll get it done. And you're going to never have the moments where you're like, I can't move my arms. I can't do anything. I can't heal. That's only for like personal training and wanting to get mad gains real fast. But everybody works out like that. They're like, you have to push yourself. And he was saying, you really don't. You just have to do something.
Right.
Because if you're like, I don't want to push myself to the point where I can't fucking see and I'm struggling to breathe, you're not going to do your push-ups. But if you're like, all I have to do is 10 push-ups, then you're fine.
Look at us. It sounds like we're figuring out how to be humans and live life.
I hate it, but like more and more I'm realizing that like a lot of what people say to you when you're a kid about how like, oh, you're not going to care about these things as much and you're going to move on and start thinking about this. It's all freaking true, man.
Wait, so you're saying that there's going to be a time that's coming soon where I'm going to want to be responsible?
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe.
Think about the conversations we used to have. I used to come over and be like, did you watch this? Did you watch this? Did you watch this? And you were like, no, I don't have time. And I was like, yeah, I should probably get in that headspace. And now everyone's like, hey, I still haven't seen Avengers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's so many. I haven't seen Solo.
You're growing up, Inch.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk some magic because we've just been talking life and Facebook and Adobe and things like that. So let's talk about the biggest thing on the magic to-do list, which is Shin Lim.
Yeah.
So in order for me to title this episode "How Shin Lim Won America's Got Talent," what would you say? What do you think the reason is that Shin Lim won America's Got Talent?
I think he has incredibly strong TV magic.
Oh, yeah.
I think that his first round on TV with Fool Us and whatnot was incredible.
Eviscerating.
And it just broke the mold for what North America had seen from TV magic. Like, just the visual elements of it, the fact that he does use sleight of hand as well as other things to sort of elevate. You know, there's so much going on in his performance that it's enticing for magicians. It's enticing for everyone who's not a magician and likes magic. And on top of that, it's not like you don't have to commit to anything with Shin Lim. It's not like
wow.
Yeah, it's not like you're like, okay, let me hear your jokes, let me hear this. You just sit there and it could just be playing.
Beautiful. It's like a dance.
Yeah, you're just completely in awe by it. Now, why I think he won America's Got Talent is because the first few things that he spent so long crafting and creating were so perfect that even though I found the majority of his performances to be sort of iterative of each other, they're all so strong that like he was winning that the minute he stepped on stage. Like there was no question in anyone's mind, Shin Lim is winning America's Got Talent this year. And that's genuinely how I feel.
I said it on the podcast.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's huge for Magic. I think it was a great round of performances. I would have liked to see a little more variance in the style of stuff that he did. But I mean, yeah, big ups to Shin Lim. It was a huge thing for the Magic community. People are freaking out about it. And I get asked about Shin now. It used to be like, do you watch Penn and Teller Fool Us when they find out I do Magic? And now they're like, oh, you know Shin Lim? But yeah, it's been super cool.
Yeah. So I have a few different thoughts very similar to that. So the first is I would say he did an excellent job. And it was, the most exciting part to me about the job that Shin Lim did is that a certain number of years ago, we all as a Magic community found out how good he really was. And then now the lay people community, the normal community finds out how good he is. So that's a real exceptional moment. That felt good compared to in the past when certain people would come on America's Got Talent who the magicians of the world have never heard of ever, and then they like go viral
and they do sponge balls or something like that.
Exactly. And I think we're talking about the same person. And it's much more exciting when somebody who magicians can vouch for makes it, because we want to talk about him and we want to be like, yeah, what he's doing is more difficult than something that anyone could do. It's nice that what Shin is doing is out of reach of most people. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to, most magicians too. He's not just there. He's not making it to late rounds doing invisible decks and thumb writers.
Even people who did some very strong magic, even for the magic community, for example, Eric Jones. Yeah. He still played the role of your classic like magician where like, I'm going to come up to your table and show you something personal and it'll be fun and cool. And it was great and strong and really good. But Shin was like a whole other kind of magician. You know what I mean? He broke the mold for what people thought magicians were, specifically stage, because he did have the quietness and the stage production and the like watching a dance or a movie or like everything's done to music and it's timed and beautiful, but he didn't have giant boxes and tigers and smoke machines the whole time. He did have smoke machines, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't flashing lights and like, look at me, I'm a rock star.
Do you think
it was still
that
intimate?
Shin Lim winning America's Got Talent has to do with the current popularity of magic? Or do you think that the current popularity of magic will have had to do with Shin Lim's success?
Both. It's definitely both. But I think Penn and Teller fool us is the reason
why Shin Lim
won America's Got Talent and why magicians are on America's Got Talent in general, because the TV market knows.
I mean, it's a talent show, so I can't. I mean, magicians would be on it regardless. It's a pretty common.
But for years they were first round people or they were audition people. But anyway. In terms of the popularity thing, I think magic is definitely more in and that it did play a role, but I also don't know how I think watching magic is in.
Yeah.
I think watching it is very in. It's become much more acceptable to be like, I like watching magicians. There are less, I mean, not that there aren't new magicians forming, but I think there are more people consuming magic without feeling the need to perform it or learn it.
But that's good. You know, it comes back to a conversation that we had with Garrett Thomas, where when somebody says they like Bob Dylan, you're supposed to give them a Bob Dylan CD, not a guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same thing about this, right? If somebody says that they love magic, now we can give them Penn and Teller Fool Us instead of giving them a magic kit. Which is exciting.
Which is awesome. It's really awesome. Sorry to bring back to step away from magic for a second, but it is related to magic. That's another thing I love about the media production side of things is that I didn't have to go through 5 years of being a kid in the media store to get access to all the information ever. Like,
yeah, magic is weird. Dude.
I spent a lot of time searching for secrets, or it felt like when I found the text that had the thing I wanted in it, it was like, oh, months of searching and I found it. Or like, years and years went by and then they were like, here's this website with all these books. And I was like, oh, thank God, finally someone told me,
Comparing the systems that exist right now to find methods and secrets for magic versus methods and secrets for other things that you have to do, like Adobe or whatever. Obviously it's undwarfed, but that's because magic is like secrets. Like,
Exactly. And I think that plays a huge role in why it's becoming more popular and more people are just watching it. And not only is that because of the barrier to entry in terms of gaining the knowledge, or maybe that is the only reason, but not only does that create more people that watch magic, it creates more people who accept it for what it is. And they don't try to deconstruct as much, which I think is it's good and bad, but I think it's more good than bad because it's no longer he got me. There is still those people, don't get me wrong, but they're becoming less and less. More people are just interested in, experiencing it and watching it.
Yeah, I think, I had an interesting question that somebody asked me when they came to a show last week. It was an old friend who came to the show, and I didn't expect to see him. And we were talking, and I said, yeah, how'd you hear about the show? And he said a friend was in the show, and I said, great. And he said, can I ask you a question? And I said, yeah. And he said, how am I supposed to experience magic? And I was like, no one's ever asked me that before. And I gave him what I thought was a very clever but a little bit too in-depth answer. But I'd love to know what you think.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I guess my response would be, I think you should try and figure it out, but don't feel like a failure if you can't. Because I don't want...
But do you even think the introduction of that is like
is kind of condescending?
Yeah, it's like you're going to try and you're going to come up empty.
No, not even that. Because, like, there's going to be times where you might find the right solution or think you found the right solution, and that'll be enough for you, and that's great. But I think you should always be wondering how. I think that's a very important part of experiencing magic. Like, I don't think you need to just be like
we're not suspending our disbelief. We're not pretending that the ball is floating.
I think sitting...
We need to be fooled.
I think sitting in that space of, oh, wow, how did he do that, is exactly where you should stop.
But we all know how to experience a stand-up comedy show. You know, we all know what frame to look at it. A magic show, it depends on who steps out there. If it's a comedian, you're just being whipped up. And if you have to go, or something like that, then you know. But if it's somebody who is, comedians have hecklers. People go to comedy coach to be like, hey, you're not funny, I'm funnier. Of course. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we know how to watch a comedy show. Like, we know.
I guess I'm just going to have to stick with if you get it, great. And if you don't, move on.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't think, I think that it should, not that it shouldn't be a question that they're not going to get it, but the point is that they don't get it. So I'm not like, you could get it or you couldn't get it. Those are I obviously don't want them to get it. So if they do, like, that is a failure on my part. So that's not the dream situation I'm describing, right?
But like,
so I would say
a part of life.
Of course. But I'm not. Let's hypothetically assume that all the magic I do, they don't know how it works. So I would say that exactly what you said. They're not supposed to be pretending that they're experiencing it, even though they know how it works. They need to be fooled. But I said the joy is in the lack of knowledge. So you get more joy out of it by being more attentive and more fooled. You know, if you don't pay attention, it doesn't matter. If all of your being is convinced that signed card couldn't be in that box, then when it is, it's that much more baffling to your being. And that's what it is we're fooling, we're playing tricks on our intuition and our understanding.
What I would say in response would be like, you should ask whatever questions you feel need to be asked to yourself, but also try to actively stay involved in the performance. Like, don't let the engineering, mechanical side of your brain take over to the point where you're just watching my hands. Mm-hmm. Listen to what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. When I ask you to imagine something, close your eyes and imagine it. Yeah. You know?
And that's actually a really good added thing, which I didn't think about, which is like, and I know the episode in which we talked about this idea was one of our stupidest episodes ever, but like, allow me to be your dream guide. I know you know what I was going to say, but allow me to be your dream guide. Like, allow me to walk you through this magical experience with the knowledge that I am fooling you, right? Allow me to. Come on the journey with me. Yeah. You know, like, come with me. Like, come.
Yeah, we're fucking kind of shady.
What?
We're kind of shady.
No, we're the least shady because we are telling you that it's going to be that. And we're saying, come along. And it's all in the safe world of theater. I know what you're saying, right?
Yeah, but we're also like, I'm going to deceive you. I want you to believe and come on this journey with me.
No, I don't. Also, nobody wants anyone to believe. I think that's
no, not believe in terms of like, this is a belief that I now hold that Jonah can move things with his mind. But like, you want to be in that world for that time. Like, just on paper, in terms of the actual experience, we're not shady at all, right? But on paper, it's like, I'm gonna lie to you for like an hour and a half. Give me money.
Yeah, but that's like a movie.
I mean? Exactly. But
it's the same thing as a movie.
I think that's where the people fall short, is they think that we're not a movie, or we're trying to not be a movie.
Well, the difference between us and a movie is the movie does not want you to ask the question how you see what you see, whereas we do. otherwise, like we're the same as a movie, except it's simulated impossibility, right?
Yes.
Like, which plays a huge role. So, cool stuff, cool words, cool discussion. Actually, something I want to talk about. I've had quite a few people just this week reach out to talk to me about producing their own magic show. So, actually, I got on Skype and spoke to one guy about it, but there's another one that sent a question about it, and I figure let's just answer it right now, yeah? Okay, so from Greg Boggs. So he said, "Hey, Jonah and Tyler, thank you so much for working on putting out such a great podcast every week. Listen to almost every episode, over 100. And I think the two most helpful ones to me are the one with Jonah and Ben talking about the Toronto Magic Company and getting started, and just this past month with David Peck. Yeah, that was a really cool episode. With the TMC podcast, I was really inspired and trying to get something like that started in my city, which is what we want you to do. Great news. There are a handful of magicians here in Spokane, here in the States, but there's not much magic in the community here. The city's a decent size, probably close to 500K, but there's no magic shops or even places for people in the community to go and see magic shows on a regular basis. There's an IBM ring here. It gets together twice a month. And I've been asking those people if they would be interested in a magic open mic night or a coffee shop if I can get one going. So far, the response has been pretty positive. I guess my goal is to make Jonah have to change the flyer for newest trick in the book to the only open mic magic show in Canada rather than North America. We did already change it, but thank you. In the emails, you have asked for questions for different Q&As, and I've been really trying to think of what I can ask you, and I finally come up with a couple things, Jonah. Jonah, when you were trying to get your open mic night going, what type of coffee shop did you go into? Sit down coffee shop or cafe where they have serving food items? Coffee is huge here in the Pacific Northwest, so there are some coffee shops everywhere, but some are small. But how big of a place should I be looking for? What are some big points for me to emphasize when I try to pitch the idea to the owners? Thank you for your time, and even if you don't back me on this, it helps me to think through this all by asking, so I appreciate it. And then he wrote a PS, which is really long. So I'll just start.
I'm sorry, I missed that first part. Could you read it again?
No. So I'll just stop there. So a few different things. Number one, we did not approach a coffee shop. We approached a bar to do events so that we could do the events at night. If you've got cool nightly coffee shops in Spokane, then you can do that sort of thing. But we approached a bar. That's
coffee shops are popular in the city, but they're quiet spaces.
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't do it at a coffee shop.
You do like spoken word there, not a...
The second thing is in terms of venue size, we intentionally went with small enough that 20 people looks full. And that way, because if we have 5 performers and they each bring 3 people out, plus the performers, that means we have 20 people there and there's an audience, even if no marketing works, but only each performer brings 3 people. And because they're all doing new material, it's an exciting thing for them to talk about. And then in terms of what we pitched, we told them that we would fill up their place, and we picked a night of the week which wasn't busy for them, like a Tuesday. So we said, we're going to get 20 plus people in your building every Tuesday. Let us do it. And they said, okay. And the first one's easy because you're launching a new show and everyone's inviting people. And then you try to get the hype keep going, and it's a free show. And yeah. And other people called to ask about TMC, and I got on the phone. So Greg, this question was from Greg Boggs. Greg, I'll probably give you a call if you have any extra questions, just because I'm really trying to help people hand to hand with this sort of thing. And
the other thing I'll mention is one of the reasons I think you were so successful at Seascape is that they had slow Tuesdays. They had slow days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We pitched them a shitty day for them, and that we would bring in people.
More so than that, like, not to throw Seascape under the bus, but like, they're not a happening place all the time. Not that it's super slow there, but like, they needed another thing to happen. So finding a new coffee shop or a new bar that's looking to bring more customers in and become regulars is a great option. If it was an amazing
bar that was in the center of town where everything is most popular and busy, then they don't have space for your show on Tuesday.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay for that space.
So something's got to give. We intentionally picked a place that, I don't want to call it seedy, but I'll say that we picked a place that is a place where it would look like a small underground open mic show was going on, and it was very easy to fill up. So there you go. I feel like there was another question or two in the box, which is worth me checking. And here he had a quick question. He said, The question is, he said, I know I'm very late, but I'd love to be involved. You'll be involved, John. The question is, why so much hate on ethic issues and how much Magic is portrayed? It's a tough word. Okay, so why so much hate on ethic issues? Yeah, Tyler, why so much hate on ethic issues?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Why do we hate on ethics so much?
I don't hate on ethic issues.
You love ethic issues.
That's like my whole thing.
So why so much talk about ethics? Maybe this guy's saying...
why do we hate on people who are like, I have powers?
Maybe this guy's like, what are you talking about? We're magicians. Like, let's go. Talk about something more important
than ethics?
Than pretending, then be like...
Okay, it's not about necessarily about the ethics involved. Like, it is 100% about the ethics involved for me, but more so than that, it's the fact that when you do something unethical like that and the audience is aware, it hurts all Magic. Being a shitty magician who's like, I'm better than everyone because I have special powers, and if people walk away from your show thinking it hurts everyone. If you're going to talk about the issues that I have with people pretending to be, have powers that they don't, and not how that affects the Magic community, but how it affects the audience, I think making people more susceptible to believing in the supernatural long term is objectively harmful.
I agree.
Like, we need to be in a logical, rational society. That's impossible 100%. Like, it is. People are always going to have superstitious beliefs, or like, even in my own life, like, I think things are related that aren't related. Like, we are naturally designed to formulate patterns, and we are very, very susceptible to disillusionment and cognitive dissonance. Like, it's something that society as a whole is struggling with right now, and adding to the other side of things is not good. Like, the more people that we convince that if they just believe really hard, it'll all work out, the faster the planet's going to die, the faster the next war is going to happen, because if we're just getting people to commit to ideas that aren't based in logic, then it's just not good for society.
Well, so I have two views. So the first view is I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And, that's one of the reasons why we discuss ethics so much. That being said, I believe the sentiment that this guy might mean in his question is probably correct. And the sentiment is, really, do we have to be that worried about us being the people that make someone believe in a psychic and whatever? And I think that, you might very well be right. Like, we might be talking about such a minute number of people that see what we do, and then such a minute percentage of us magicians who even could potentially have that impact. I jokingly said to someone, I was like, I could use this magic to like cheat people and make people believe different things about the world. And he went, could you? And he's not, I mean, maybe I could, but maybe like...
Yes, you could. Did you watch Magic for Humans?
Yeah.
So...
Yes,
did he convince people? Did he convince people that they were invisible? Right, grown ass adults believing they were invisible for a period of time. Right, that's a huge implication in their life.
Are you saying that you're like, that is ethically unsound to do that trick?
If you don't tell them that they were invisible
afterwards,
then yes.
If you don't tell them, you think it's ethically unsound.
If they walk away, and when they're talking to their grandchildren at 70 years old, and they're like, for 45 seconds, I was invisible. That's a problem.
Really? Because
that's a problem.
But here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that they were at a magic show, and what they're going to say is a magician made me invisible. And I don't know. I think that's an amazing experience that I wish I could say. I wish I could tell someone I was invisible, or I felt like I was invisible.
But that's not what they're going to say. They're going to say a magician made me invisible, not a magician made me feel invisible, right?
So you think if you do that to somebody and you never tell them afterwards, it's ethically unsound?
Yep. I think it's going to alter their thought process, because all they know is some people can turn other people invisible.
Okay, so there's a question to you guys that made it to the end of this episode. If you watch the Justin Willman Magic for Humans or any of the viral stuff, if you did that invisible thing to somebody and didn't tell them that it was fake, are you making an ethical, like, why is that wrong? Is that wrong? Or is it amazing? Is it like a movie, but in real life?
There's a reason why we can't just use faith. We need to reason things out. And convincing people that magic is real puts more weight on the value, importance, and impact of just having faith.
I hear what you're saying. And I believe that the context of a show does so much for somebody that they're going to say, you go see David Copperfield and someone disappears and appears at the back. You say, watch somebody vanish and disappear. Is David Copperfield being disingenuous?
No, but
Why not?
Why not? Because, well, maybe
someone in the whole audience thinks he vanished.
No, they don't.
Why not?
Because there's a lot of people using their engineer brain in the audience going, I don't know how he did that, right? And they're not accepting it, but they're like, there's things I don't know.
But there's also people that believe that they disappeared. The same way there's people that believe they're invisible.
Yeah, I know.
You think that's ethically unsound of him to leave people believing that? I don't know, man. That's this whole thing that we do.
And yeah, to be honest, that's the reason why ethics is such a sensitive and serious topic. That's why there's so much hate on how it is pro-traded or whatever. But,
so you feel like sour about David Copperfield making people vanish and appear elsewhere? Like,
no, I don't, because I think he does not. He goes, here's the people, and now they're over there. Not, I'm going to summon my seventh chakra. And he's not building a foundation.
So let's say I make someone
it.
think that they're invisible, but I don't summon any chakras. Is that now fine?
If you say now you're invisible and they believe it?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously there's a good presentation, but I tell them about, like, if you believe it hard enough, you can do it, and then they do it.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I don't mean to be painting.
I know. No, this is the conversation.
It plays such a role. Like, this is magic, right?
Yeah, but I just feel like the way David Copperfield presents, less people walk out believing that. You know what I mean? Like, when you make someone turn invisible, the whole audience knows that they're not invisible, and that's fine. It's just the one person, and they'll probably find out later. But if the whole audience now believes it, then it's a problem for me.
Well, the difference between one person believing it and a lot of people believing it shouldn't make a difference, because if it's ethically wrong to do with one person, that's ethically wrong to do with everyone. So.
No, because everyone will inform the one.
Maybe, but maybe not. Like that's not enough. Like, just hoping that everyone else informs him. Like,
yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I guess you do have to tell them. You do have to tell them that, like, listen, you weren't invisible. Please don't. I think that if you do a show and you convince an adult human being that they were invisible, you did something wrong. I think that is a huge, huge detriment to society. Huge.
Well, it's very difficult to do this art.
That's why I'm doing video right now. Like, straight up. Like,
yeah, man, because
I got qualms.
I hear you.
Right?
Being faced with it, I just can't find myself, like, having negative things to say about magic that's so goddamn fooling that people are like, well, I don't know. Pretty sure that guy vanished and disappeared and appeared somewhere else, right? Like, I can't be like, now you're letting people believe that that's possible. Like,
no.
To me, I'm like,
but that's a different
thing.
That's a different thing in my mind, because they don't believe that it happened. They believe they experienced it. And that's a big difference, because they know it's a reminder to them that their subjective experience.
Why do you feel that someone vanishing and appearing somewhere else they know isn't real?
No. But if they do, I do have a problem with it. But I think if they're like, that's what happened, I went to a magic show and this happened, do you know how he did that? Or like, I don't know how he did that. That's fine. But if they're like, I now know that people can do that, like, if they believe it as that's what's actually happened, not what they experience, right? It's kind of like, I don't know, if like someone who takes like psychedelics or something and they trip out, they know that they're experiencing a hallucination, but they don't freak out because they know it's a hallucination. Whereas if they know it's a show and they know that it's all, orchestrated and crafted, then that's fine. And they're like, I went through this amazing experience and I have no idea what the hell happened.
I think that the context of a magic show is enough of a disclaimer that there doesn't need to be anything. Look, I think that if somebody was out in the streets bending spoons with their mind and selling their books about chakras, that shit's fucked. Like
So
I
is
have
Uri
problems
Geller?
with that.
Do you have a problem with Uri Geller? He got investigated by the FBI.
Like, yes, like
right?
I do, but I think that I don't know. I think the context of a magic show adds so much, and the context of going to a theater to see a show has so much that like that's enough.
Like my
for
grandfather believes that Uri Geller fixed his watch through the TV. He believes that if I studied magic long enough, I gained the ability to send psychic signals.
I don't know if I said this
and
on the
fix
podcast,
watches.
but I met a guy in LA, an Uber driver, who I was telling that I did magic, and he's like, oh, I saw a magic video online. Basically, long story, but he saw the video of who's that magician who pulls a loaf of bread out from nowhere.
Yeah.
And then he said in an interview that magician said that it was meditation. And then this guy's been meditating for like 3 years, hoping to like, he also like put an egg in a kiwi and a coconut or whatever, hoping to do that. And I was like, oh, how's it been going? He's like, oh, the meditation's been great. I'm like, were you able to put fruit in other fruit? And he was like, no. I was like, oh, okay.
Do you not have an issue with that?
Yeah.
Think about how productive he could have been in that time.
I know. I have an issue with that because the magician explained that it had to do with chakras and like.
Yeah.
Like to me, there's a part of it that.
You are logical and smart enough to know that going to a magic show is a disclaimer. Some people don't see it that way.
But what fun is it to start your show and say, all of this shit is nothing, and it only will look like I'm contacting spirits and drinking potions and stuff, but it's all not real. Like, does that not the stupidest thing in the world?
You don't have to say that. You don't.
What do? How do I bend a spoon without putting bad in the world?
I think if you tell it in the context of a story, and it's not about like, now watch me bend the spoon. The spoon's a metaphor. Talk about the Matrix or some shit, and be like, and with time, the key became loose and the lock turned, and then like the fucking spoon starts bending. And then you finish your point and you put it down. Not going, let me tell you a story while I bend a spoon. Obviously, that's gross. Being direct and being like, I'm going to deceive you sucks. When you look at David Pardue magic, it's fucking magical. But at the same time, you're not going, oh, paper can be torn and restored. You're learning about Egypt.
Yeah, but when you watch Eugene Berger do that thread thing, like, I don't know, when you watch him do gypsy thread and he talks, it's beautiful, but do you also not leave there thinking that he can re-put material together?
No, I don't.
I don't know. I wouldn't bet that other people don't.
I mean, maybe you're right, but like, I don't know. I don't know how many people walk away from Eugene Berger's show and
thinking in the reality of what he did. I think
most people walk away from his show going, wow, that was amazing and entertaining. Not going, wow, that's new knowledge.
And you don't think
I don't think magic should be an education in reality.
Ooh.
I think magic should be an experience that you go, but it should not be you don't go to Avengers and walk out being like, they're superheroes.
Okay.
Unless you're a child.
So let me put a few things into context in terms of how I feel. So first is like, I agree in terms of like, I don't want to be putting that negativity into the world in terms of the lies and whatever. And that being said, lending towards the same point in looking at this subject in the past, for me, the best way that I want to prove that something isn't real, and I've explained this before, is for it to be a stupid or silly or exaggerated premise so that people know by nature that the potions aren't real because it's so silly that they're potions. And that's the approach that I'm using because no, I don't want people to believe that it's real. That being said, even though I'm talking about potions and something silly and not wanting people to think that it's real, part of the joy of magic is that twinkle of impossibility. And the idea of doing anything to make it abundantly clear that there is nothing mystical or whatever, any of those going on, to make it abundantly clear to audience members that none of that is going on, to me sounds like a mistake. It's part of the richness of magic to me, like part of the richness of magic is experiencing it and being like, that must be a trick. Or maybe did he somehow hypnotize me to say that card? And then you go, no, that's crazy, Jonah. And then you go, but, or maybe, do the cards change like mechanically? Are they mechanical cards? You're like, no, you idiot, they're paper. You're like, but how could they change if they're paper? Are they heat sensitive paper? And you're like, no, there would be thousands of them. You know, that like going on is because you're like, what is the thing? What is the, right? And like,
right. That's fine. That's fine. That's 100% fine. And that's what I want. We're on the same page about that. What I don't want is none of that.
Yeah, so no, but for me, in terms of my personal magic, I agree with you, but I'm not gonna go as far as to say that that's like wrong and bad and ethically unsound. Like, it's very hard for me to say that because so much amazing magic is just fooling, and it seems like if people were to like,
is it fooling because the methodology is very convoluted and hidden and amazing, or is it fooling because there's nothing to question?
I think a beautiful example is a spoon bend. That is a fooling routine. Like, if you watch that, you don't have to put a terrible amount of convincers to make it believable that someone bent it themselves with their mind.
Yeah.
It's doable, totally reasonable to make that case. And I think it's a fantastic trick. And I'm not like, I don't feel terrible about the world that if someone could see that trick and be like really badly fooled, like
I'm not saying you have to put safeguards up for everybody and use disclaimers and say, hey, this isn't real. But I do think you need to be extremely mindful of the implications of what you're saying.
Do you feel you're smarter than people who are fooled by magic shows?
No.
So do you feel that and I was hoping you'd say that, obviously, do you feel that, like, what do you feel about...
I don't think it's a measure of intelligence.
I don't either.
I don't feel it has anything to do with intelligence. Like, it's human nature to seek out patterns and causes for things. It's evolution, right? Like one of the things mentioned in a book that I'm reading right now is like, it was always more costly to attribute no importance to things that are important, of course, versus to attribute importance to things that are not important. Mm-hmm. The example given was if you lived in Africa and you heard rustling in the grass, you could dismiss it as a rhino. You could dismiss it as the wind and be like, it's just wind, and then you get eaten by a lion.
Right.
Or you could be like, that's a lion, and then you're safe regardless.
Because it was the wind.
Right? So we're naturally, our brains are designed to find importance in things that don't actually have importance, like attributing supernatural things to inanimate objects or being like, this is my lucky whatever. You know what I mean? It really is not an object. It's not a form. You can't think of it in terms of absolutes. It's not magic is blank. It's like saying language. Is language objectively good or bad? Right? Like,
it's neither.
Exactly. Same with magic.
No, but magic is deception. Like, magic is like, it seems like so much of the rooted here is right. So much of the root here is deception. Right. But like, even if it's not that, even if it's just a blanket statement, like we're both part of the Jewish community, and we know that, I'm assuming, I guess we haven't really spoken about it, but we both sort of have a similar stance on religion and the word in the Torah not being, the objective truth and reality, but still valuing the importance of going to, Passover dinners and, being a part of that and having that personal identity. So all these deceptions can serve different purposes. And though it is not up to the magician to dictate how people interpret it because they can't, people are going to think what they're going to think, we can be mindful about the avenues of thought that like the doors of thought that we are allowing to be opened. Yeah, I just said what I thought. I don't think that. Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. It's a personal matter. But he's asking why all the qualms, and that's why it's important to me. That's exactly why. Yeah. That's exactly why it's important to me. I know magic's not going to change, right? Like tomorrow. I'm not trying to, be like, we need to redefine Yeah,
the industry.
Well, it sounds the reason
But I'm
trying to say
redefining
is
what I do.
I'm just like, it sounds like that has such a role in magic. Like, I wonder how you can do magic without that sort of like, is Teller's shadows, like, people believe he doesn't say anything, but maybe people believe that he's got that ability. Like, is that wrong for people to believe that he can touch shadows and it have effect? Like, if they believe that about the world, like, I don't know. Like, they're not lying verbally, right? And Penn and Teller make a decision not to lie, which I think plays a cool role in this. And that might be a direction that's more. But if someone comes to that show and they think that magic powers exist and they watch Teller do shadows, I don't know that they leave that show not thinking that. And I don't think that Penn and Teller are I think of any two magicians on the globe, they are the most morally sound. So I don't know how those thoughts sit with me, because I think that like it's
and that's
too
what I'm trying to
magic.
say. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that there's going to be that one person or few people that go watch shadows and say he can manipulate the, ambient or the absence of light and affect the thing causing that, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. But also, Penn and Teller are infamous for being like, don't believe what you see. That's their thing, right? They have a show called Bullshit where all they do is tear that stuff apart and talk about magic. They do, 20% of their tricks they perform and then show you exactly how they work, and it's still amazing. You know what I mean? Like their cups and balls with clear cups, or their thing that Teller used to do.
But someone could still come to the show and watch Teller's thing and think that they're doing it.
Right. Of course. And what I'm saying is it's impossible to fully control the outcome.
But wouldn't you be saying like they're being too complacent about it? Everyone thinks it's not their responsibility. They should, like, isn't that what you just said? Like about, like people are passing off the responsibility. Like those people come to the show.
Right, but Penn and Teller do not pass off the responsibility. They do their very best to make sure that the vast majority of the audience is not that, outlier who's going to just be like, I don't believe you, Penn. You're a devil man. Those people are going to exist regardless. But we shouldn't be facilitating the growth of that community. That's what I'm trying to say. We should be dwindling the amount of people.
Yeah, I don't want that community to grow, but I'm just saying, like, if my presentation makes most of my audience think that it's probably not true, which is what I want, right?
And that's what you're doing intentionally.
And if I can do that,
because you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
But he's saying, why should we even think about it? Like, who the fuck cares?
No, but I'm saying,
like,
I'm just saying, like, that's where I'm like, I want to do that. And it sounds like for you, that's ethically unsound. And like, I don't know.
I don't know that I think that what you do is ethically unsound. I don't think that.
Why?
Because you tell a story about an Uber driver selling you potions.
Okay, but what about the girl I talk about that she has she can memorize a deck of cards? It's not true.
It's not. Yeah, you're right. And I don't think the person on stage for a second believes that they memorized a whole deck of cards.
But I'm doing nothing to stop someone in my audience from believing that's true. And if
yes, you are. Yes, you are. Just in the way in which you present, you are.
But sometimes when I do the trick close up, I'm not that silly, and I don't, right? Like when I'm doing that trick close up, like it's very intense about it, and like I don't know. I think people.
I honestly, truly believe that even when you do it, your intense close-up version, I've seen it fuck people up, but I have never seen someone say, "How did I memorize those cards? How did I memorize those cards?" Whereas if you structured your whole show around convincing someone that they could memorize cards, you're a fucking asshole.
I don't think so.
You're an asshole.
I don't think so.
I hate motivational speakers who say you can do anything. You can do anything. You can. Don't get me wrong. You can fucking do anything you want. But it's bullshit to think that, like, I found success, that means you're going to find success. I could do this, that means it's going to happen for you. It's not. It's nonsense, right? So you have to go into those things with an already well-formed foundation of skepticism, right? And I think that there are magicians out there who are trying to break that foundation. And I don't think that that's okay. I think everything you do is fine. I never watch you perform and go, wow, Jonah's an asshole. That person's going to go, buy some crystals when they go home. You know what I mean? I really don't. And I'm not trying to say that the vast majority of the magic community is super unethical. But I think...
It sounds like it sounds like you have an ethical problem with most of magic. That's what I'm trying to get across with my like, where I keep giving like examples. Like I keeping like, there's so many examples with which what you're saying cross with, and that's okay. Like if that's the case, but I'm like trying to understand because like it sounds like there's a lot of things that you know that this is that it's an ethical problem. Like a lot of magic.
Yeah, and you're right, and that it does. Every time I sit down and really think about it, it rattles my brain a little bit because there's a lot of contradictions in my thoughts, and there's contradictions on both camps
for sure. For me as well. Like I'm like,
but what I'm trying to say is that ignoring most of magic, in my opinion, objectively, the specific kinds of magic that I'm mentioning and talking about are unethical, and I think that it does matter, and that as a community we should be focused on the impact that we have on people's lives.
Well, there you go, folks. That's why ethics is important. And I know we basically just talked about ethics for an hour and a half. It's now 2:53. Anything else you want to say before we say goodbye? Maybe on the notes of
stop fucking doing magic and lying to people. No. Be excited about the art you do. I couldn't help that one. But anything on the notes of what? Sorry.
So the two things that I wanted to chat about are, or to wrap up about and talk about are, number one, maybe the final thoughts on the effects of Shin Lim and how that kind of magic is going to have an impact, or if it will, its popularity and this sort of hype right now. And number two is any last thoughts on ethics. It's been a while since we've really talked about it, since sort of the Ben Train episode days. And to be honest, it was a real catalyst for this podcast's creation.
Yeah.
Right? As ethics was a big catalyst.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's not that we would have stopped had we not done that episode with Ben Train, but that brought a lot of attention to our platform in general, because people were like, oh, I have opinions. I actually think about this.
Yeah, people had opinions. So that was super cool. So yeah, thoughts on the Shin Lim and thoughts on...
I'm a little bit mad at Shin.
Yeah.
Because the bar is too freaking high now. Like it just is. Yeah. That's the main thing.
Yeah, tough to compete against that.
Like I don't have the ability to wipe my hands over a table and produce things. I just can't. I can't do that. I can't do half of the things he was doing close up for people without it being my show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think a lot of people are more excited about magic right now. And that's really huge and really big. The bigger presence magic has in the media, the better, and the higher and higher that bar is going to get. And I think it's going to push magic forward in terms of performance and creation.
Yeah. I feel totally the same way about Shin Lim. I think that it's very exciting that amazing close-up card magic made it. And I think that there was a little twinkle in my eye that said, I could be a just card magician. Right. And I don't know if that's a journey that I'll go on, and I'm not sure, but it is a real big specialty of mine. It's something that I could do. If anybody could do it, it would be me. It would be that sort of, you know how we talk about creativity with limitations. It would be that limitation that, you know, I need. But maybe I'm sick of it, and all I want to do now is magic with objects. So maybe I should not. But just the idea that could exist and that there's more of a texture for magic is very exciting for me. And yeah, just more magic, more hype, like millions of tens and 20s of millions of people watch Shin Lim do his stuff. So that's very exciting. And, you know, I wish even more success to magic. And what are your last thoughts on maybe ethics, or maybe something that you can talk someone down if that conversation just hyped them up a little bit? You know, what can you tell them about ethics or about magic and ethics, or about making people believe, and about things like that, which will maybe put all this into context?
You're never going to be right. It's such a gray area that we don't have a full understanding of, especially seeing as it's something that's only really being talked about in more recent years. I think that it's a great mental exercise and something you should be thinking about and something you should be aware of, but also understand that as certain of things as you can make yourself as many notes and as many you can take and books you can read, there's going to be things that make you question your own beliefs about what it is that you do, how you identify as an artist and individual. And always, I think what's really important is always being adaptive to change. Like one of the reasons why magic had a really weird sort of stagnant period was when the young magicians were blowing up online and the old magicians were like, that's not magic, right? And everything is going to change constantly. Well, how we define the world that we occupy will always be changing. So be open and ready to change with it, and just be mindful. Be mindful about the implications of what you're doing. Don't let it fall to the wayside. You don't have to put all your weight of your performance around it. Do the best show for you, what you think the best show is, and that's most important. But at the same time, like, it doesn't mean you have to disregard things that challenge what your beliefs in magic are.
So I'll say two things about the subject. So my first thought is, and this sort of lends to his question about it, which is like, yeah, at the end of the day, we're talking about the effects of the 1% of the 1% of the people that come to your shows that we're worried about here in terms of ethically, which should help you sleep at night. I mean, whether or not, you're probably thinking, oh, but one person still matters. And it does. It absolutely does. But it should help you sleep at night that, no, we're not so delusional that we're sitting here believing that everyone's coming to our shows, and believing that we're witches and stuff. But we are having the discussion about minimizing damage, and they're like anything that you have to make those decisions, and it all comes back to sort of the thing we said at the very beginning of the episode, which is no matter what you do, the artist is defined by the number of choices, the number of decisions. So however you land on the issue, whether you agree or disagree or whatever, each issue that comes into your radar and you address in terms of you and your show and your performance, each one of those is another decision that you make and another way where your performance becomes you and special and unique and all of those different things. So that's my little take home. And my last bit is this. If you listen all the way through this episode, send me an email with a smiley face in it or something right in the title. I listened to all of 130 or something like that. And I will give you a call on the phone and we can talk about magic. That's a little thing. If you choose to do it, if you remember to do it, we will schedule a little call. So that's a fun little thing for you. I know most of you will forget, but I figure I'll hop on like 50 calls. And
are they emailing just at our Discourse email?
Yep. Discourse at Discourse Magic.
Cool.
And other than that, I have hiccups and I can't really talk anymore. So you want to say goodbye?
Yeah. Well, thank you all of you that made it to the end of this. I'll give a thank you to the people who didn't, even though they won't hear it, because it's in the ether now, and we're all a kumbaya happy family. We will see you next week. That's pretty much it. Happy October.
And if you're in Toronto, come to some Art of Magics. Oh, and I forgot to mention, which I'm not going to talk about a lot now, but I'll talk about next month. But
newest trick is starting again.
Newest trick is starting up again.
Weekly?
And it's very exciting. Weekly, starting in October.
Awesome. And again, I'll just quick last little plug. If you do want to do a photo or video shoot with me and you're a local Toronto person or will be in Toronto, send us another email and I will get in touch with you and we can probably set something up.
Okay. Peace.
Take care.